Harley Quinn Smith and Scott Schiaffo. Give them a round of applause. I know we already did, but we do it again. So a little bit of a panel discussion today. You know, I'm not going to say no questions really offside, but be careful with your questions. And we're just here to have some fun and learn a little bit more about them and what it's like to be in the world that they live in. And I'm going to go first if I could.
Yeah.
Just to get the ball rolling, I'm a huge Quentin Tarantino fan.
Oh, nice.
So you can imagine I've seen all of his movies but one, and I hate to tell you which one it is because it's the one you were in. And it's not because you were in.
I saw the one she's in.
and I'm a massive, like, I don't want to say fan of the book, but Helter Skelter is one book that I was not able to put down back in the day, so it's definitely on my list. But just talk about what it's like to work with somebody like Quentin Tarantino. I mean, he's such a legend in Hollywood. His movies speak for themselves, from the soundtracks to the casting to all of it. So what was it like being on set to, you know, have a guy like that leading the way?
Yeah, I mean, it was an incredible learning lesson. He's one of my idols, so to get to watch him do his thing and get to learn from him and see how he works was just such an incredible and like life-changing experience. He creates such an immersive set, so every day when you go in, you check in your phones before you go to set. And so, I mean, mostly I think for like no picture taking, but also it just really allows everybody to connect with each other because you don't have your phones to like look back to. You have to actually talk to people. So it just creates like this really tight-knit community, and it was such a special experience.
Right on.
I got to ask you, what was it like? You're talking about Quentin Tarantino. What was it like to work with Cliff Booth in that that scene? That is an awesome scene where he's looking for George, right?
Yeah,
he's come to look for George, and I know your line. I remember your line there.
You do?
Yeah.
I don't.
Yes. You're there.
I don't think I remember my line. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's really crazy. Obviously, to just like be looked at by Brad Pitt is a weird, it's like a weird
the Hawaiian guy
feeling.
Here comes the Hawaiian guy.
But yeah, no, everybody in that cast was so awesome, and like just really such an honor to work with everybody. I made like some of my best friends on that movie, so it was just overall a really special experience.
I know you hang with, speaking of Yoga Hosers. That was an awesome movie.
Thanks.
And just with Johnny Depp's daughter, I hear you're good friends with her as well, right?
We've known each other since we were 4.
Lily Rose, yes.
Yeah, we did Yoga Hosers together.
That was...
And yeah,
I know you just watched it.
Oh, nice.
Last I watched it again.
I made her watch it.
The Brahma.
It's a super weird movie, but it's yeah, it's definitely a very strange one for sure. Oh, thanks.
It's almost like the Canadian version of Clerks, right?
I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
See, Darryl just opened the door. Let's switch to Clerks quick because I know Scott is here too, and I gotta ask. You're sitting next to Kevin's daughter, and when you did Clerks 1, the first one, the one that kind of launched the whole thing and the cult following, did you ever think that even though she was a toddler in 2 and then in 3 that you would be like doing these, like how crazy is it that you started something in the early 90s and then the director and one of the actors has a kid and then now it's all part of the family?
It is, I mean, it's beyond bonkers. It's, first of all, for me to have been part of that movie, and my dream at the time, aside from being a musician, I was playing music all throughout my 20s. I was a little older than the rest of the cast, and I had pivoted into acting, and I auditioned for her dad, and I didn't know him. I lived an hour and a half away. A lot of people think everybody in the first Clerks were friends or family, and the truth is, Brian O'Halloran, myself, Marilyn Gigliotti, Lisa Spoonhour, we were just actors who saw an audition notice and auditioned. So, like, my dream, because the indie film was very kind of, you know, Quentin had only done Pulp Fiction at that, not Pulp Fiction, my bad, Reservoir Dogs. In fact, your father was showing us Reservoir Dogs in the video store as we were rehearsing. He had it on VHS. So indie film was like starting to brew, and I thought, man, you know, I would love to be a character actor in a really cool indie film that got some notoriety, keep doing my music, do some character acting. And it was this huge dream, you know, and then I got the screener, and I didn't know, and this is not uncommon, actors don't always get full scripts, especially when you're only playing a character that's on a few pages. You get your sides, they're called. So I never knew what came before the gum guy. I never knew what came after the gum guy until I got the screener. And then I saw the whole movie, and I was like floored by it, but I thought, man, this is so bizarre. It's going to be real culty underground. I never dreamed of any mainstream success with it. And then, you know, it takes over Sundance, and then Miramax. It was just a mind blower. But your question about getting to sit with this amazing young woman, it is a mind blower, because I've been listening to her music for years now on YouTube. You got to check her out.
Aww, so
she's a sweet, sweet person, incredibly talented, and yeah, I couldn't even have dreamed that I would get to do these things myself, let alone do them eventually with Kevin's daughter. So it's bizarre.
That's so sweet. That's so sweet.
Does anyone have any questions from the floor?
Go. Just.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So when I watch all the movies that you're in with your dad, obviously, it looks like it's very family oriented. It looks like it's a lot of fun. It reminds me of when I made short films in high school.
Oh, cool.
And then I look at, you know, now you're doing other roles. I haven't seen that movie. I'm sorry. The other one, the Quentin Tarantino. Yeah, I haven't seen that one.
No worries.
How would you compare working obviously with your dad, where it seemed, at least from the outside, it looks like it's more family, versus working on another movie set when it's not your dad?
Yeah.
What's that like?
I mean, I think like working with my dad is such a special thing to be able to get to do, to like create something with your family. But it's also, I think of that more as like a family experience rather than like not to say it's not a part of my career, but like as a career experience, because it feels like just a really special opportunity for our family to get to do the things that we love together. But I think it differs with the other projects that I do. Those are for me and the career that I want to make for myself. So there's definitely a difference, but they're both, I love all the experiences, and yeah, but I think working on my own just means something really, it means a lot to me and is very important to me, so it just means something pretty different. Thank you.
But what about working with your mom? Wasn't she in Yoga Hosers? Or?
Oh, my mom, yeah.
Yes, she was a part of that too.
Yeah,
so.
she is, yeah.
So is she kind of cool to work with?
She's, my mom's funny. My mom just makes me laugh.
Cool.
So it's no secret who Dad is. When did you decide, or did he guide? Was it completely you that decided to go kind of in that same direction? Acting, music, all that stuff?
Music is totally different. But I did just want to make music, play bass in a band, which I did. Growing up, that was what I had my eyes set on. But then I found acting when I was about 15 or 16, I think, and I just fell in love with it, and I knew that I had to pursue both. And for me, music is just so different, because with acting you have to audition your ass off and get told no a million times, and your ability to work kind of depends on somebody else. But with music, you can make music whenever you want, and you can put it out yourself, and it's very much in your control. So it's just really important to me to have both in my life, because if I just have acting, I'm gonna go insane.
Well, and it's interesting you say that, because I'm a stand-up comedian, and I send tapes of my sets. I get told no by clubs all the right. You thought this is it, this is the one, right? I needed this one. Talk about that experience for like, people see you in movies, right? They see you when you got the part. They see you when you've done something. What they don't see is everything that you had to do in order to land that one. And you're welcome. So talk a little bit, both of you talk a little bit about, those experiences and like the grind of the audition process. Sometimes it seems like it's almost easier to do the film once you get it, because the road to get there and the process is quite demanding.
Yeah.
You want to go first?
Whoever.
Well, I've been at it quite a long time, and I pivoted from music in my late 20s into acting, as I mentioned, but I had always loved acting, and I did community theater, that whole bit. But not just the madness of getting the role and all the auditions and hearing no a lot and doing meet and greets, and it was a different world when I was coming up. I mean, there was no internet, there was no cell phones. The first person I ever saw with a cell phone is an actor named Michael DiLorenzo. And if any of you know him from New York Undercover,
yes,
I did a film with him in the mid-'90s, and he was a big star at the time on Fox New York Undercover. And he had the first cell. It looked like a G.I. Joe walkie-talkie.
Yes, exactly.
That's how old I am, man. I'm like so old. But what Harley said, I'll harken back, is that music gives you a tremendous amount of freedom, because you can do a lot of it for your own pleasure first and foremost, and then get it out there pretty easily, unless you're going to act on a street corner. Or I guess even you could videotape yourself and put monologues up very easily now, but it's not the same as acting with other actors and the chemistry of a filmmaker and a director and following his vision. So you need a lot of other people. It's really a team effort. A lot of people don't believe, not that they don't believe it, but they don't realize. I mean, it takes a lot. It takes a small army to make a film, and I'm always amazed that, I'm never very critical of many films. If I don't like a film, if it's not my taste, that's fine, but I just know how much hard work and craziness went into just making anything, so. But I feel very blessed to have both music and acting in my life, and because the other one, music is what really keeps me grounded. The acting is just, I never fully embraced it as a full-time thing. It was always, that was my side hustle to the music, because I had a studio for years, still do. But let me let Harley go.
Oh no, I was enjoying that. Auditions. Yeah. It's super gut-wrenching and heartbreaking and soul-crushing. And a lot of people say, like, some of the best actors don't pursue acting because the mental side of it is just like absolutely so difficult. It's really, really hard to keep going when you are told no, or when you get so close to something and then it's between you and one person, and or you're too old, or you're too this, or too, like, it's excruciating. So yeah, it's just it's hard to stay. It's just really important to take care of your mental health always, but I find as an actor that my mental health has gotten worse. But music helps, and yeah, I think it's just a side of the job that people don't see. And like, if you just saw how many like audition tapes that we all do, like my whole phone is just tapes of me doing auditions. So there's a lot that goes on in between the time that we work and like stuff comes out and everything.
Who do you really admire as far as an actress or actor, other than your father or mother? Who did you look up to? when you were growing up? And same with Scott.
I definitely wasn't going to say my mom or my dad, but there's so many people I admire. An actor that I really love right now, and like the films that she's doing, and the choices she's making, is Rachel Sennett. I think she's like so hilarious and taking on really cool roles. But there are so many people I admire. A filmmaker that I would die to work with is Tim Burton. Tim Burton is definitely my favorite filmmaker. I'd also love to work with James Gunn in a dream world. That'd be awesome. So there are a ton of people that I admire, and so many filmmakers and actors, writers, producers that I admire. And like Scott was saying, there's so much work and so many people that it takes to make anything possible. So really just I admire anybody who is a part of the process, because it all can't work unless everybody is there doing their job and doing their craft. So it's all like everybody's hard at work trying to if you get something made, like it's honestly a miracle, because it's so hard to.
It's true.
It really feels like a miracle when something comes together, because it just takes so much to make a movie or a show or something. Yeah. What about you?
I came up with the folks from a lot of the people from the 70s, the movies of the 70s, and it's the usual suspects, De Niro, Pacino, Hoffman. These guys were character actors that made it okay for Hollywood to cast characters as leads, because before that generation, you had your Rock Hudsons, you had, the model handsome guy was always the lead, right. And then the character guy was, whatever. But Dustin Hoffman and, like I had mentioned, Pacino, these guys, they were working off of charisma, and all of a sudden, and Jack Nicholson, those type of folks really inspired me coming up. And then my own generation, which Mickey Rourke, The Pope of Greenwich Village, Diner, those films really, I said, I knew I wanted to do it badly. And I was even told by my drama high school coach, I had auditioned for Dracula, my best friend and I. And he pulled me aside. He said, maybe you want to think about something else. I'll make you the stage manager. And I was not at all fazed. I was like, okay, great. I just said, I wanted it so badly that I knew I wasn't Olivier, but I knew with the right part and the right opportunity, I'd be able to connect. And I wanted it. I think we were talking about earlier, like, what does it take? Somebody once told me, if you want to be an actor or in the arts, if there's anything else you can do and be happy, you should go and do that.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's harsh. But it's like, you know what? I know I want this more than anything. And I always have my guitar. My guitar was my best friend. In a lot of ways, still kind of is, next to my wife. And it's hard. It's really tough. But I came up with the folks from the 70s. Those were my biggest inspirations. Those films, 70s and 80s. But I'm not some type of elitist or ageist. I love all the stuff coming up out now. I love, of course, Quentin. Your father's the one who introduced me to Reservoir Dogs. He was showing it in the video store in RST Video next door to the Quick Stop when we were filming. And I was like, oh my God, like Michael Madsen with the ear. Yeah. We were just like, oh,
great movie.
So it was very cool, It was so exciting to be on your dad's first film. It really was. When we came back to do the third one, I just had the memories of the first. And literally there were more people probably doing hair and makeup on the third than there were on the entire first movie. Literally, right? I mean, that's not a joke. Everybody drove up in their car. And when I came out into the set, and it's just like trailers everywhere, like, you know, because I've been in films that were like that since Clerks.
Yeah.
But I still have the old Clerks memory in my head. You know, it's just Kevin and a bunch of us, and I got to know your dad pretty well in the beginning. I lived far away. I didn't live near the South Jersey area. I was way up north, but he and I became phone buddies because we were really, really into it, you know, like, and he called me up to tell me about Sundance, and they screened the movie at Woodstock 94. And I was like, oh man, I'm a musician. You could appreciate this. I'm like, okay, I didn't make it to Woodstock as a musician, but he said to me, he said, there you were in front of it. You were screaming in front of a sea of Woodstock babies. I was like, oh man, that's like the coolest thing I ever heard. So it's just a blessing. It was a blessing to be a part of that film, and it helped keep me going with all of my endeavors, really. It opened up a lot of doors, rarely closed any, you know, but that's life.
I got to ask, though, the drama coach that had told you just be a stage manager, did you like just purelate him a VHS copy of Clerks and go, eat it, pal? Or
No. You know, it's funny, and I just want to say, it wasn't like it was a horrible one, because you could get really hurt in this business, obviously. You know, it's really hard not to take criticism personally as an actor, but you really got to, you can't have a glass chin. But I had met somebody not long ago. Sadly, that person passed away that told me don't go into it. But he did know. You know, he found out years later. And he was very supportive. And he probably doesn't even remember that he told me, you know, don't, you know, stick with your guitar or whatever, you know. So, yeah.
Anybody else out there? I know we got three fellas and a lady in the back that came in a little late. You guys have any questions for?
Sorry they're coming in late, but we're actors.
No worries.
Big fans of all kinds of pop culture, and I guess I would ask one question. I've probably been asking many times since I have a name like Harley Quinn. I couldn't handle being called Batman living up to that.
No, it was definitely cooler when I was a kid because nobody knew who Harley Quinn was, so it just sounded cool, and I knew, and I was a nerd, so I thought it was really cool. But then once Suicide Squad came out, and everybody suddenly knew who Harley Quinn was, and she was super mainstream, then everybody started to think I was lying about my name, and that it was like, and especially now, after turning 21 and like showing my license, and they're like, are you what? Like people like think I'm handing them a fake license, and I'm like, no, that's actually my name. So yeah, now it's not as cool, but when I was younger, it was way cool for sure.
Would you like to try on the mantle and actually play her?
Oh yeah, I mean that's a dream for sure. I that's a beloved character and very like sacred and special.
Follow-up for you. What would be your spin-off of her? What would be your touch on the character?
Oh wow, I mean that's a great question. I mean I think that it would have to depend on like what era they're going for, version, but my favorite story is Mad Love, so I would love to see a Mad Love film. I think that would be really beautiful. Yeah. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I know that you play bass and you're really into your music. Do you have any bands that are an inspiration for you, or some type of music genre that you go to, like when you need that inspiration or when you need that?
Yeah.
Like even like for like you said for mental health, is there like any type of band or music that you kind of like gravitate towards that helps you to kind of?
For sure, that's a great question. Yes, I love to listen to like singers yell. So like grunge. Grunge is my favorite genre, but just like getting to scream along to like some Metallica or Iron Maiden or something. It's very therapeutic. Yeah, very therapeutic for me. My biggest inspiration is Hole and Courtney Love. Courtney Love is like my ultimate muse in career and music and individuality and fashion. I just think she's the coolest and changed so much for women in music and women in grunge, and she's just so cool. So Hole is definitely my biggest inspiration, and specifically Courtney Love. And I love listening to people yelling in music. It makes me feel. I've been listening to this band lately that I'm obsessed with, called Dilly Dally, and the lead singer just has like such this really crazy, unique voice and can like do these crazy yells, and it's just like music to my ears. I love it.
What about Scott?
Yeah, you're more of my vintage, so I want to hear what you listen to.
You know.
I will say though, the new Metallica album is awesome.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
I mean, you'd have to pick a decade. I've been like I say, I've been around the block. So I grew up with the music of the '60s and the '70s. So it was Beatles, Stones, Zeppelin, Who, all the people of that era. We're still fairly new. In the '80s, it was The Cure, REM, and U2. Grunge, Alice in Chains, and Soundgarden, and I love just about all music. I really, really do. There's music for every kind of mood, every kind of mindset. I've recently become a huge Black Crowes fanatic. I mean, I watched them go along the first handful of years. And then I kind of lost touch with them after Clerks came out, because I went more into acting, and I wasn't following music as much. And I went back and checked it out, and like I'm a real fanatic with their career. I love their music, but music really is magic, man. I mean, it's the only real. I mean, I think it's the closest thing to magic in the. It sounds ridiculous, but it connects people in a way, not many other things can. Maybe aroma. I know it sounds crazy, but if we all smell the same smell, we'll all get it slightly different, but we'll all be affected by it. And it's not tactile. It's in the air. It's really, it's a magical thing.
So let me throw this at you, and I know there's different moods and different songs and stuff, but you're having a day, you're by yourself, it's just time to center and decompress. You can listen to one album. Which one is it and by who?
Oh, man.
Oh, that's a hard question. What do you think?
For me, that's like seemingly impossible, but
I understand it's an impossible question.
Yeah.
Even if you want to say three of them, you can.
I'd have to pick, I got to do it by decade. Well, there'd be a Beatle album, a Stones album, a Zeppelin album. We went from one song, now I got 3 albums.
Yeah.
it
was a full album.
Yeah, any of those main 6 that I mentioned really touch me in a way. There's something there. But there's one song by the Black Crowes I listen to whenever I go on the road, because it makes me happy to go back home. It's called Appaloosa, and there's a line in it. Oh gosh, I can't even repeat it because I'm going to get all welled up thinking of my wife. But there's a line in it that says, "I'm coming home to." Now I can't think of it because it's choking me up. But I listen to it in my room because I get excited to go back home. I mean, I love going out on the road, but it's a beautiful blessing to be able to go home to family and people you love. So that song really touches me.
That's so sweet. If I was angry, if I was having a bad day, I think Live Through This by Hole would be my choice of album. Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah.
Anyone else from the floor have a question?
If you could, later on, do you think you'd get into directing and writing?
Yeah, I've been working on a show for the past year and a half, developing a show for a streaming service, as a writer and a creator for the past year and a half. So I hope it sees the light of day, because it's been a long time. But yeah, that's been a really, really amazing experience getting to do that. Completely different experience. I had no idea like how long it does. Well, I already knew how like hard it was to get something made, but like really all the drafts and all the work that goes into getting it to that script that you receive as an actor, as opposed from like the first draft. We're on like our 6th draft now, I think. So it's just, yeah, it's a pretty crazy experience. But I definitely intend on filmmaking. I recently bought the rights to a book that I'm developing into a script right now too. So, yeah, I definitely have intentions of doing that.
Cool. Anybody else?
All this talk of music, what's in the bag, man?
That was so true.
Of course it's this.
Aww, that's so sweet. Oh, that's
nice.
So cool.
Now, that's the soundtrack or a laser disc?
No, that's the soundtrack. I've got the movie in the bag too. But
Aww.
I think it's green too. I'll open it up.
Oh, I think one of my band's songs is on on that record actually. Oh, that's really cool. That's so cute.
Are you on here? I didn't even notice that you're on here.
My band was called The 10th.
Yeah, you were on here. There you go. I didn't even know that. There you go. You learned something every day.
What did you think yesterday when Jay and Silent Bob walked around?
Oh, I've seen it.
Every con you go to now,
yeah.
there's a Jay and Silent Bob.
I just don't really have a reaction then.
We have some new people in here.
It was funny you were talking about your name, because I was going to ask a similar question. I was going to name our son Kalel, because I'm a huge Superman fan.
Oh, that's cute.
So I was wondering how, but now after what you said, you're 21 or whatever your age are, but it's funny that you're saying maybe it's not so popular after.
Yeah. It's weird now. If she would have stayed like a true fan character, like a incognito sort of, then that would be cool. But it's not so cool now. I wish if I was gonna be a boy, my parents were gonna name me Charlie Quinn, and I kind of wish my name was Charlie Quinn, because it'd be like similar but different. So I don't know.
If it makes you feel better, I went to college with 2 guys from the East Coast, and their names legit were Thor.
Oh.
And it's the same convo now, where when you meet somebody and they say, "Hey, what's your name?" "Oh, I'm Dan. What's yours?" "Thor." "Yeah, what's your real name?"
Yeah.
You know, and then they got to pull their license out and show it to you like it's legit. And so their parents named them Thor.
So true.
So I can just imagine what it was like for you whenever Margot Robbie picked up the role, and then it hit the theaters, and all of a sudden it was like, who she thinks she is getting that name? You know what I'm saying? It's
No,
weird.
she was awesome though. I'm such a big fan of Margot Robbie.
And now
so
she's
cool.
with a guy from Cornwall in the Barbie. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Ryan Gosling, who's from Cornwall.
Yeah, he's from Cornwall. Ken.
He
there,
grew
the-
up here.
Oh, he's from Cornwall.
He's from
he's
here.
a Cornwallite, yeah.
No way.
His father worked at the plant.
Oh, whoa.
I talk to him all the time.
He was the most popular kid in Cornwall in the late 80s, early 90s, because he was in the Mickey Mouse Club.
Oh, yeah.
With Britney Spears and
Yeah.
who else was in there?
Christina
Somebody else.
Aguilera.
Yeah. So then now he's a Hollywood heartthrob.
I got to give you a story. I was doing an on-location remote back in '93, and this kid comes up and he says, "I'm going to the Mickey Mouse Club," and I'm going, "Okay, kid, good.
Yeah.
Good luck to you, kid." Ryan Gosling.
Wow.
Yeah.
Aw.
So is there an actor or actress that you would like to play opposite at some point in time between now and whenever you decide to hang up the? I suppose people don't really hang up their acting hat, but is there like a dream opposite character or person?
I would love to work with Juliette Lewis. I'm a really big fan of hers, and she takes on a lot of intense roles, so I think it'd be really cool to match that.
I'm currently watching Yellow Jackets.
Yeah,
so that's
same.
A fantastic
I
show.
love
She's
Yellow
great.
Jackets. Oh, it's so good. I have to watch the newest episode. I think one came out like a day ago or something.
Yeah, I'm still on season 1, so don't ruin it for
Oh
me.
shit! you gotta catch up. It's so good.
Awesome. Scott?
Oh wow, I haven't really thought about that kind of thing in quite a long time, but maybe Mickey Rourke, but we'd have to go take a DeLorean back to the 80s, and it would have to be the Mickey Rourke of Diner. And not that there's anything wrong with Mickey Rourke today, but that was my big dream then, because we're probably similar in age. He's only probably a couple of years difference between he and I. So I was like, wow, man, because he and Eric Roberts, they just jumped off the screen in The Pope of Greenwich Village. Back then, you saw a movie in the theater, and that was it. This is just, VHS was just starting. That's how old I am. So it was so exciting. I must have gone to that movie 7 times. Night Shift, there's a first Michael Keaton movie in the theater.
Yep.
He blew us all away. We all wanted to be Michael Keaton after that.
Oh, yeah.
This is back in 81, 82.
Yeah.
So...
Underrated actor for sure.
Oh
right?
gosh, I'm so glad he got his due eventually, but he's marvelous.
Well, I'll throw out a recommendation on Disney Plus. If no one's seen Dope Sick, Michael Keaton is in that. It's about the opioid epidemic and how it started.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
And Michael Keaton is unbelievable.
He's
He plays a
amazing.
doctor that got hooked
Mm-hmm.
on his own opioids, and it's crazy. Very good. Does anyone have any more questions? Comments?
You haven't thrown anybody else into a ceiling fan, have you?
Did you throw
No, I
somebody
haven't.
You had to be
No,
at the
my
stand-up
brother.
show for that.
So I opened for Ed the Sock last night doing stand-up, and I told a story about how I almost broke my brother. I think I did break my brother. I threw him up into a ceiling fan when he was 4. At first.
no.
Yeah, he's okay, I think.
Is he okay?
Not really. I broke him, but he's here, I think. He's the commissioner of the Seaway Valley Wrestling Crew.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I asked everyone to ask him how his fallopian tubes were today. Part of the joke. And,
Nice.
I don't think he's here today, so he might have caught wind that I put 75 people up to asking him sad questions.
That's so funny.
Well, listen, I really want to thank you guys for not only doing the panel and sharing some of those experiences with us, but coming to Cornwall and being part of the Cornwall area pop event. I know that you saw the community come out yesterday and today, and we really appreciate you guys taking time out. So a big round of applause for Harley Quinn Smith and Scott Schiaffo. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.